been like 4 months, guys. 4 months since I have been on this platform bringing forth messages. And so I just want to take some time to ease into this here because it has taken me some great strength or courage to be able to get back into this space. So, prayerfully, what you receive is what you need, as I pray the same for myself. Shalom. Sending you love wherever you're at in this beautiful existence. Welcome back. All right, so I started a YouTube channel some years back, Soul Lessons, where I pretty much recorded my diary on screen. That channel has since been closed out. I have set a couple other channels up on TikTok and YouTube and a little bit on Instagram. Closed out most of those. And I have 707 Lights Sage Tarot still active, and I will be putting videos on another platform, Guidance by Dove Moon. And so the layout will be one video platform will be for tarot cards and guidances that way. The other, my thought or the guidance that I'm getting is just that impromptu, just bringing forth messages as I'm led, and more than likely without any type of tools, instruments, just kind of free flowing. All right, Guidance by Dove Moon. Reason for that name is always gonna be reflecting something that I resonate with as far as the moon energy. I can go pretty deep. There is a lot of depth yet to be explored within myself and within the collective. And I am efforting to embrace the darker sides of myself while still maintaining truth and what is the word? Virtue. Okay. Dove, of course, because I am drawn to energies that are gonna bring a sense of calm and peace and serenity and freeness, right? Air energy. I am a Gemini. Well, I resonate with the Gemini sun, okay? So whatever that means for you, very communicative at times, and then other times not so much, where I tend to be a recluse, right? Drawing back, going into that shell like the hermit crab, and doing my own excavations in the dark, right? And then once I have gathered enough of my resources from my well of knowledge or my explorations, and then I come forth and I unpack with the collective. And so 4 months. Last video that I did, which was a live, that was a live, yeah, and then I did a couple on TikTok before I closed that page down. I closed that down because I was guided to as well. I probably will be setting up a new one, but in any case, stay tuned if you're interested, if my energy resonates with you. But I have my reasons, and I don't just do things. I try anyway to pace myself and do things according to the guidance that I receive within my internal compass. And usually it's nothing ever planned, yet there are planning stages in my growth. So yeah, just working with all aspects of life pretty much. You might hear some background knowledge. You might hear some background noise. And I guess some background knowledge. I guess I need to be, okay, yeah. So just giving you some background knowledge about myself. A little bit about myself, okay, for those that are interested. All right, so the focus for today, if you are still resonating, is the journey that we have been on, that we've been progressing through, the challenges of life, the ups, the downs, the low-lying lands, the difficult terrains, the depths of the oceans of emotions, that is, and the airiness as far as the clouds, the confusion, the spaces where there's in-between void, some say, where you are trying to get to something tangible or getting to a place where there's a sense of stability or groundedness, okay? And so on this journey, some may say the fool's journey, it's a risk. It is you taking off the extra clothing, taking off the extra layers, taking off the things that are heavy, that are weighing oneself down in order to get to the meat and grit of who you are, essentially, who we are as individuals. And so that's what my channel is geared towards, peeling back the layer. You might see some rough areas, and that's okay. We embrace the roughness as long as there is an intention to smooth things out or learn how to work with the roughness, okay? So the progression, the journey that one is on in this space is to discover self, who is, you know, let's say I've gone by many different names. The first that came to mind, Yocheved, right? The name that I resonated with in my time of Hebrew Israelite. And then my birth name, Miriam, okay, given to me by my father. And then my family nickname, Lisa, given to me by my mother, I believe. They all have meaning and significance in my life, and they all speak to a certain aspect of myself, okay? I find that I am a bit of a wildflower, to be honest. I like to be free. I like to experience life as it comes, yet I do like the structure of, let's say, the flow of things where there's a certain level of routine and expectation. So I'm learning not to be so rigid in my approaches towards things. And so you might find that the platform is not going to be so structured. It might be here, there, and everywhere, and then it'll all come together, okay? As we tend to do. Because I've been waiting for a time for life to be very calm, to be very settled, to be very quiet. And life says, nope, if you're waiting for that, you're going to allow a lot of things to pass you by. And so I'm being forced, as the wildflower is, to grow through the roughness, to grow through the fallow ground that is not broken up, to still spring forward, to still shine, to still show up, to still be present, to still reflect into my environment what is within. So many names, they all have meaning to some parts of my life. And so embracing the whole, even though there are sections, right? Embracing the whole. All right, so this journey, the journey that we are on, the progressions we have made, they've all been possible because of the sacrifices that we've experienced, myself included, sacrifices of maybe work environment, maybe passions that you once craved or sought after, maybe relationships that once defined you, maybe relatives or close connections that you associated with at one time or part in your life that made up your personality, your persona. So the hangman energy is what I'm getting, which is a sense of um, not stagnant energy per se, but more so taking a pause on the journey to understand the meaning of the journey, the purpose of the journey, the direction of the journey, the goal. What is it all for? What is the meaning? Why, right? Asking those questions and having to figure out how to navigate the challenges of life, the ups and the downs, the depths of darkness that no one can answer for you except yourself. Knowing when to go, when to stop, when to quit, when to continue on. Multiple layers having to be peeled back and excavated, as mentioned earlier, having to find things that, oh, I didn't know I had this here, and finding things that, oh, this is still here, but I don't need it. So learning what to take with you and what to leave behind, that's the sacrifice that I'm speaking about. And also the sacrifice is the things that make you go, right? In life, when life tends to throw the proverbial monkey wrench into the flow of things, and you have to now stop and reconsider and find a different way, right? So this is seeing things differently in order to move differently, in order to bring about a different outcome. And so that could be significant for the collective. 1211 also could be significant if you're into numerology. 11 for sure. So that speaks about the number 2 coming into union with self, coming into union with those that resonate with you on a similar frequency or soul resonance. This is the collective coming back to the center, coming back to what is nurturing, what is important, what causes you to feel alive, and actually fueling that, putting your attention, your energy, your effort towards those things that you hold near and dear, those things that you value. This is Vesta, the hearth. This is the energy of what lights you up even in the darkness, what keeps you going even in the storm. Okay, there's an internal lantern that we all have, our life force, our soul's essence, that we have to tend to. That we have to make sure that we are in alignment with the things that fuels us, and that we keep close to those individuals that also are a significance in our lives, that we are responsible for, or that we have been given just stewardship over, or that we are to work together or collaborate with. Okay. Star energy here, spiritual rebirth. And so I could be speaking to individuals who have gone through a lot of turning over, like the soil, turning over the soil, right? We talked about the fallow ground a minute ago, something that is stiff, it is hard, it is cracked, and not a lot of seeds can grow in this space unless you till it, unless you break it up, unless you water or you add substance to that soil for it to grow. This is the star energy, because you are essentially the fallow ground. You are the one that needs tilling. You are the one that is to be turned over again and again and again, like the churning of butter. Never turned butter in my life, but that is the energy that I'm getting. The churning of butter, the churning of the soul, the turning of the external, internal juices that flows within that may have been very dormant. And so it is a sense of awakening to the parts of you that were buried, more so suppressed intentionally or subconsciously, not being aware of it, but coming to the realizations of aspects of oneself that has never been truly exposed, explored, recognized, and even identified with. And so you may see parts of me that you've never seen before, as I am learning parts of me that are unfamiliar, yet there's a need to be open, receptive, and integrate these parts of oneself for the fullest expression and for the completion of this journey. Okay, don't know if we'll ever come to a completion, to be honest, because with the soul, what I'm learning is there is infinite possibilities or potential for the soul's expansion. So I don't know if there's ever an end to this revelation or this knowledge that we come into, as far as self and awareness and infinity. That I am a babe in the sense that this is very new to me, coming out of religion, Christianity specifically, and also Torah-based understanding or Torah-based knowledge, coming outside of those constructs into something different, the spiritual lane. Now learning how to ride that bicycle, and falling off here and there, and then even questioning that, is this the path, is this where I need to go, is this, and many times you're left to figure it out. You're not left alone per se, but you are left to figure it out, because no one will be able to answer these things for you. It is something, a quest within, that you have to set on yourself independently of anyone's approval or support, and figure it out. And it is a bit, it can be scary, right? Daunting, even very difficult, especially if you don't have anyone in your corner rooting you on, and if those that are in your corner are looking at you like you have two heads and a tail, meaning you don't even look the same as before. And so how can I relate with you anymore, right? That's the energy. How can we still relate? How can we still be partnered? And many times perhaps you can't be partnered with the same anymore, because think about a puzzle piece that fits into place perfectly. The other matching part has to have the opening, the readiness, the willingness also to shed whatever it needs to shed, or whatever they need to shed, in order to come into alignment or into agreement with your puzzle piece now. So, right, fitting the square into the circle is no longer the method, or it's no longer the approach or the preference, right? Because that requires friction, that requires conformity, that requires power struggle. One has to submit to the next, right? There has to be some sense of surrendering of your will, of your essence, to give way to someone else. And so that is being done away with to a certain extent, okay, where nothing is forced. Okay, so that's like a forced alliance. So this is no longer forcing anything to fit with your story or trying to fit into anyone's story. You are creating your own story, you are fashioning your own experience, and it does impact you and those that are in close proximity to you. So star energy pouring into yourself, and also being very resilient in the things that you do and the things that you face. And again, it is challenging, right? Mary Mary, they had a song out back in the day. Nobody said this would be easy, and it came to mind maybe 3 weeks ago. I started singing this song. I'm like, where did this song come from? I just can't give up now. Come too far from where I started from. Nobody said that the road would be easy, and I don't believe you brought me this far to leave me. Okay, when I say back in the day, yeah, back in the day, my children were younger when I would listen to that song or heard that song. So that carried me through a very low space. I had just been separated from my husband at the time, my children's father, and so that was me turning into or relying on the church at a time that I was very weak, and I found strength in the assembly at that time. And even then, here's the background knowledge, even then I started questioning all of it. Just, it's like being in a space and looking outside of yourself into this space and realizing that you don't really fit in this space any longer, that there's more, like the soul is desiring more, and it's like, why can't you just be satisfied? No, the soul desires more, and it's like, when you're thirsty, you give yourself water, give yourself something to drink or something to eat when you're famished. And so it's the same thing. The soul, the internal hunger for life, like true life, the experience of life itself, where it meets you in a way that you can't deny that you are living, right? I can't explain it any other way than that. So, I've been on a quest for years trying to fit into a space that I felt like I belonged to. And for a time and season, I did that, as I mentioned, with Christianity, and as I mentioned with Hebrew Israelite era. And that was the understanding I had at that time. And that was the foundation that supported me and helped me through that season, that part of my growth and development. And it was very beneficial as far as creating the foundation and a sense of structure, a sense of order, because clearly internally I did not feel ordered. I may have presented a sense of order and togetherness, but my internal world, unbeknownst to me, was chaotic. And so this anchored me, and that's what many of us I find we do. We seek to anchor ourselves because the world is so chaotic. And one way to anchor yourself easily is by partnering with another person, right? You may seek to partner with someone who seems like they got it together, they're more stable than you, and that makes sense. That's not to say people do this out of selfish reasons, but perhaps, yes, it is selfishly motivated. And I can speak for myself also as a single parent with 4 children at the time. Of course, the need to have a provider, the need to have some sense of structure and stability, a sense of direction, a manly presence in my life as a female, that was a desire that I had. Selfish reasons, some would say, and I would agree with that also. They say better in the scripture, better to marry than to burn with passions, right? And so a lot of impulses that I have had to overcome over the years from my youth to get to the place where I'm at today, and so when you don't know how to ground yourself, you don't know anything about, what do you mean ground yourself, you tend to find others to help ground you. And I think that's just natural. Now, coming into the space of awareness where I'm at today, I am learning how to ground myself within one, and then also within my environment, within creation itself, and and not rely so heavily on others. Your day-to-day life still does ground you to an extent, as far as if you are a mother or a parent, a father, you have children, you have responsibilities. Those duties, those responsibilities, they help to anchor you as well. But that's just that's like a framework. It's not the actual grounding that we need, okay? But it is helpful. It is helpful. So I could be talking to someone that may have struggled with some challenges with impulsivity, as myself, as a younger female, young mother, and in my singlehood at the time, okay? Proud to say that at this junction, I have gained a lot of self-control where I can maintain myself well, without the presence of, let's say, a male or another person, where I would have to rely on, maybe a sense of codependency that maybe once was there. Thankfully, it's no longer there. And then also the fear of rejection and abandonment. Like, so when I say going through the trenches and churning that fallow ground, so to speak, that's what I'm talking about. Looking at aspects of yourself that were there, but you were unaware that they're there, and they're playing out in a way in terms of the choices we make, in terms of how we interact, in terms of what we believe, in terms of what we think of ourselves, in terms of what we project into our experiences, like all of that. The shadow, okay? So Guidance by Dove Moon looks at embracing all of these parts of oneself, myself, first and foremost, and finds purpose, meaning, and makes sense of these experiences that prior to my present awareness, I didn't know existed. And so that's the star energy. We were just talking about the star, 2720. Number 17 could be significant for someone, okay? Star energy, healing. It speaks of healing. It speaks of acknowledging oneself. It speaks of bringing balance within, without, right? As above, so below. You may have heard that as well. And the above that I speak of, collective, it's how you perceive, how you think, okay? The internal dialogue you have within yourself right here, and how that translates through the words, through your actions, through your desires, okay? That's all that means for me anyway. So the star energy is a sense of spiritual rebirth, right? So we died, we die daily, right? Scripture talks about, unless you're born again, you become as a child again, meaning you come back to a clean slate, you come back to a place of innocence, you come back to a sense of, ignorance, like not knowing, and you allow yourself to learn in your innocence and to grow in a way that it's imbued with more gentleness, more honesty, more nurturance, more reassurance. And this is all internal. That doesn't say that a higher power is not having impact, but this is us now doing the work. We're not just sitting back and saying, God save me, right? We're recognizing that we have a lot more responsibility and authority over the way in which that our life unfolds and transforms if we allow it to. Okay. You could have strong water placements, and balancing things out emotionally might be a challenge for someone here. And if you struggle with that, try to lean into what is important in your life. And if you find that things don't add up, like they're misplaced, then you may need to do a reevaluation of what is truly salient, what's truly important, or what truly belongs in that center space, right, within oneself. All right, and so on this journey called life and our progression, ups, downs, the valleys, the lows, right, the heights, the depths, the knowing and the unknowing, the uncertainty and the, steadfastness. We go through these cycles, right? And it's something that it is just like the sun coming out, clockwork, right? Every new day, the sun appears. And that is how this is happening for us on an internal space. Every new day, there's something presented. There's an opportunity here for us to, arise, just like the sun, for us to come up higher, for us to shine, for us to present ourselves to the world in the rawest form that we can and in the truest sense of the word. And this is to allow the soul to experience the freeness or the freedom that it craves. And this is the belonging that I spoke about when I was younger, trying to find a space to ground myself or to attach to, so that I can feel, reassured. So the sun is a healing energy, right? We know that the sun adds to our vitality. It illuminates the darkness, right? It helps creation to grow and flourish. It gives the plants the vital, the chlorophyll for cell growth, for regeneration of the plant life, and for animal life, and for humans. And so the sun is very important. It's like the focal point. It adds to the sight also, right? Without the sun, you're not able to see, a lot of the things that we see today. And so this is something that we are to embody ourselves, the energy of the sun, where we are to illuminate. We're supposed to shine. We're not supposed to be dimmed down. We're not supposed to be dusty. We're not supposed to bury ourselves into the earth. We're not supposed to stay dormant. So the sun is a sense of activation. It's a sense of electricity, or electrifying, or magnifying something, exposing. It's exposure. It is bringing something to the surface. It is heightening the senses, the awareness, the abilities. It is strengthening. It is fueling. It's a forceful sense or presence or essence in our life that is necessary, I would say, in keeping things moving in a forward momentum. Okay, and so how does that relate? How do we integrate that, the sun energy? So the sun energy, you can relate that to knowledge, right? To the knowing. And how do you come to a space of knowing or enlightenment? It's in the dark. It's going within. It is detaching from certain things that we once held as truth, or that we once gravitated to. And once we do that reevaluation and see that that no longer holds true to your present, then although it may feel scary and uncertain, that's where you're faced with that challenge. Okay, do you continue to hold on to this, or do you allow this to fade or fall away so that more can be added to you to enhance your growth, your development, or your progress? And so the sun is essentially that revelation, that insight, the knowing that is cultivated in the dark when you look within, because everything is already within. Many times we seek outside of ourselves to be comforted, to find reassurance, to find healing, and that has its place. But for the most part, a lot of the things, if not all, that we need is already within. And it's only of recent that I've found sense in what I read in some of the scriptures when it talked about the kingdom of heaven is within, and other passages, and I'm learning what that truly means, for me anyway. Yeah, because it's not anything that you need to go into the heavens to bring down, or go into the depths to pull up. It's simply within yourself, within oneself. So there's limitless possibilities that we can tap into, as some would say. But sometimes when you say tap into, people take that to like the far extreme, and then it's almost like, oh well, this is only set aside for those who are truly called or chosen, or the woke ones. And it's not necessarily that. It's simply connecting back within to oneself. And it doesn't have to be grand, it doesn't have to be out of this world, although it can be very out of this world, but it doesn't have to be that far reaching. Okay, you can rediscover a wealth within oneself, yourself, just by learning how to sit still and meditate. And I often used to say that, I'm sitting still. This is something I would say to my family, and they probably don't fully understand what I say when I say I'm sitting still. This is important because there's a lot of movement in life. There's a lot that's happening. There's a lot that's going on around us, and we have to learn how to quiet the noise, how to still those external stimuli, or is it stimulus? That always trips me up. Which one is the plural and which one is the singular? I think it's stimuli is the plural. Okay. In any case, the external factors that add to the busyness, right, of this existence. So we must learn how to turn off those frequencies so that we can attune to our own genetic frequency, our own coding, and be at peace within that. Learn what that feels like, learn how that moves, and learn how to navigate in that. Then we can truly be able to build a sense of cohesion and togetherness with another person, or others who are also attuned to their own frequency. Okay. All right. I think that's it for today. 38:48 on the timestamp. So happy to be back with you guys. I did miss you. It's not something I just wanted to just jump off and not come back. It's life and tending to my responsibilities the best way I know how. And thank you again for all your positive vibes and wishful thoughts and well wishes, I would say, that you've been sending my way. It is felt, truly. I am grateful, and I do send you love wherever you're at in this beautiful existence. Till next time.